us a line, address it to a Let's Talk program in care of Vaughan Radio, PO Box 195, Charlestown in Nevis. So give us a call. Our numbers are 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. And by the way, those will be the numbers that you'll use to be a part of this evening's discussion. Again, thank you all very much for joining us. This is your voice in the community, talk that get results. With regard to your participation in the show, we encourage you to call in on the numbers listed 1-869-469-1616 and 1700. Here's a suggestion. You have a question or comment, perhaps you can get a pencil, piece of paper, write it down so that you're well organized. And when you're getting on the show, you take as little time as possible so that we can accommodate as many of you as we can. We ask only, first of all, you respect yourselves and then respect others, because we will not accept anything we deem that's not within our broadcast standards. But we encourage you to be always forceful with your point. You can also follow our live video stream of this program on our Facebook page at Vaughan Radio and our YouTube channel at Vaughan Radio. Click subscribe. Tonight we have 2 segments of the program. And before I get into that even, I want you to encourage your friend or your neighbor, call them in case they might have missed it, because yesterday was a holiday, we had a long holiday weekend, and some people are still thinking it's Monday, so it's Tuesday, they might miss us. So the first segment of the program, I'll allow this person, because he's such a regular here now, to introduce himself. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Herbert. Thank you for having me. Good evening to the listening audience. My name is Macmillan Coffey from the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, formerly the Mental Health Unit. And that's the very reason why we're here tonight, to speak to you about the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center.
The Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. We're going to get some getting used to.
Yes.
Behavioral
Health
and
Wellness Center.
And Wellness Center.
BHWC.
BHWC. Wellness
C for Center.
Okay. I bet there's a method to that change, a reason for that
absolutely,
change. Okay.
Absolutely.
So
this is all part of our rebranding of our services, and we think the name change is a significant part of it, but that's only one aspect of it. A lot of persons, we know that there's stigma where mental health is concerned, and there are certain words and names that people don't really, they do not settle too well with people. So that whole thing about mental health and psychiatric and psychiatrists, we come to realize, and it's been for a while, that it's kind of a turn off for persons to access services that they're really in need of. And so we figured that, having a more neutral and holistic name, for the center, would probably attract persons more to access the services that they're so badly in need of. And hence the reason for the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center.
The name change and the stigma.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And when I was about to introduce you or to let the folks know who we're having, I said this gentleman is going to become a staple now in this program. He's been here so many times, because we're always so happy to have you and your organization, because we understand the health, but we have a challenge with the mental health.
Yes.
And persons don't readily, want to speak about that and want to get help if they have that. But sometime we were discussing it, and somebody made a point that you got to get both. The mental health is just as important as the rest of your health.
Absolutely.
So, in discussing it in a group, off here, I made a point that they did some studies, I guess, and they found that women are more, likely to go and seek help where health overall is concerned.
Yes.
Men, well, we seem to have a problem. We seem to have a problem with everything, except having a good time, right? Okay, so we seem to have a problem with health. But on Nevis, and I think St. Kitts as well, we did a spectacular job. We, referencing the men, where health was concerned in a particular area.
Yes.
And that was, what do you call it now?
I think that was some prostate screening.
Prostate screening.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
Prostate screening.
And the turnout was overwhelming.
Yes, because when Dr. Thwaites and his team, Urology Associates, it started years ago. And I remember, Doc and I and the others, we used to discuss it and the program and stuff like that. Just like you and I are discussing it.
Yeah.
And I think Nurse Jessica, in speaking with her, she told me the first couple of sessions yielded about maybe 40, 50 men. And the last session they had to cut through the trace had over 700 and something.
Right.
And it has now become more than just a prostate screening. It has become a social event. And when the COVID was around, men were vexed because they couldn't get the screening done and couldn't get the association. Now, I made a point, first of all, to congratulate Doc, Urology and Associates and so on, and all the men, right? But to make the point that it could be done. And so, where the what we're doing now with your behavioral
health and wellness center.
And that's going to getting used to.
Yeah, it's all right.
Let me see if it is somebody wants to talk to us very early. Okay. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
I'm not on air, right?
You are?
What's that?
Do you want to talk to Edric?
No.
Who do you want to speak to?
Question.
Who?
I needed to ask the question.
Okay, I can take you off here.
I'd appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Just hold. Okay. So we were saying that we can do the same thing, and I dare suggest that's what we're trying to do.
Yes, for sure.
The name change. Okay,
yes,
go ahead.
Yes. So the name changes is one aspect I was saying. More importantly is to educate the public and to make them aware of the services that are offered at the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. There's a lot of misconception and misperception, or maybe lack of knowledge too of what we actually do at the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. And so we would like to take the opportunity to make the public aware of some of these services. Even before I go into the services though, I would like to just speak a little about our vision. What is the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center all about? And it is to create a safe, welcoming and inclusive space for individuals living with psychological and emotional challenges, and to provide person-centered therapeutic interventions to achieve optimal and holistic wellness. And the word holistic wellness speaks to your point earlier, Mr. Herbert, that when we speak health, for some persons, some people think, well, health is exclusive of their mental health. But I always use the analogy of a vehicle, that machine, whatever machine you have, that if one part is not functioning, then your system is broken. You understand? And so we try to let people understand that you can be in the best physical shape there is, and all your organs are working absolutely fine. But if your mind, your brain, and the chemicals up there are not functioning properly, you are not well. And we have that saying, there is no health without good mental health. And that's a fact. And so, for some reason, when it comes to mental health, persons are just mortally afraid to address that. And so part of this rebranding is to help kind of normalize that conversation. And just like someone would talk about diabetes or hypertension or the prostate, screening, let's talk about mental health. And so if by softening that the nomenclature, so to speak, makes people more comfortable in accessing the services, that's what we want to improve. I mean, we are located right now in Cedar Grove, Prospect Cedar Grove, and no matter how wide the gates are opened, if persons are not accessing those gates to access the services that are provided, there's a barrier. There's an invisible barrier, and that invisible barrier is stigma, because persons just don't want to be seen accessing the services. And so this is not just about a name change. This is about awareness, advocacy. This is about putting out a service for people so that they can access it. For too long, persons are suffering. People are literally dying, and they're afraid to access something that is free of charge. Free, and why is it that there is a service that is available to persons and persons are refusing even when it is totally free and available to them? And so this is all part of the rebranding and letting persons feel more comfortable to come in and access the service. And part of this initiative is also our mission statement. And our mission is to enhance the quality of life for individuals and communities by providing accessible, integrated behavioral health and wellness services that address the unique needs of each person and support recovery, resilience, and self-sufficiency. This is what drives the operations at the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. It's all about improving accessibility. And so, having said that, let's talk about what we normally refer to as the elephant in the room: stigma. Simply put, stigma is that negative attitude that persons have towards a certain class of persons, no matter what. And in that case, persons living with mental illness, or persons with lived experience of mental illness. And unfortunate but true, these persons are stigmatized. Persons look down upon them. Persons, to the point where persons cannot sometimes even get a job if persons are aware that they have a history of mental illness. Sad. Because I said sad because there are a lot of persons who may have a mental health condition, but that does not mean that the person cannot be functional or productive. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of persons in our society who, in fact, do suffer from some emotional or psychological problem, but you'll never know because they're functional, they're productive. So the question is, why are people looking down and have such negative attitude towards persons with mental health to the point where they are denied basic rights and necessities in life like anybody else?
Here's the thing. I'm here thinking, and again I'm going back to Dr. Thwaites, Urology Associate. You think perhaps part of that stigmatization came as a consequence of that people only seek out mental health help when they actually need it. See, what happened with the screening of the prostate, you had persons there who didn't have an issue. So once they were asking for men who were 40 years and over to come in. And so you went in, they told you were perfectly okay. But prevention is better than cure. And, if you get it, early diagnosis save lives. So you find that persons who do not have a problem still go to the screening year after year after year. So strategy-wise, what if we encourage persons who don't have a mental issue, as far as they know,
Right.
but they make it their business every year? Let's say you offer some screening or whatever and so on. People go. And so if I go and people figure that I don't have any issues and this person goes and so on, and everybody mix together, do you think that might help?
I can see it, yeah, because I think, as I spoke earlier about normalizing it, right? Because so you don't see only a perceived group of persons accessing the service, but everybody.
Right.
So you normalize it.
Yes.
So that's a very good point.
Yes.
And just to speak to what you just said, I will tell you, on this Friday, the 14th, there's a health fair. And part of that health fair, the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center will be part of that health fair. That is at the TDC parking lot. That's is that Honkin Drive?
Yes.
Right.
And on the waterfront.
Right.
Yes.
And so we'll be there. And part of this would be screening, just like you said. It will be open for anybody, just to come in. Let me check my anxiety levels. Let me check in my, check my depression levels.
One can do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Yeah. You come in and, we do a screen, check your depression level, check your anxiety levels, because, Mr. Albert, as you said, people go about their daily lives and they're so busy and caught up with the hustle and the bustle. Sometimes their stress levels are so high that they don't even realize until, as you say, something happens that forces them to access the services. By that time, they're labeled stigma.
Yes.
Are you with me? You made an absolutely good point.
So let me ask, stress.
Yes.
The word stress is not stigmatized now. I'll tell you why. Because even the youngest of kids in primary school, I hear them telling their friends, listen, don't stress me out.
Right.
So that's a term that people use, loosely.
Right.
And they don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
You'll hear people say, I don't know, I'm going to take a break because I'm stressed out. So they don't feel a way concerning that.
No.
So I would argue that is not stigmatized.
I
So
agree.
Against that backdrop, when you say you're having the screening?
On the 14th, which is Friday this week. Yeah.
The 14th. Okay, so on the 14th.
From 10 to 5, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Or 9 to 5. 9 to 5.
Right. So anybody can walk in.
Anybody.
And they can say, well, I'd like you to test my stress level. So you can do that?
Yeah. So as I said, so there are simple screenings, that we can conduct. Yeah.
Yes.
And then based on it's just a screen,
Yes.
But based on the screen is indicative that something might be going that you need to pay attention to.
Well, when you say screen, what do you mean? I know if I want to check my blood pressure, I know that they put a what do you call it?
A cuff,
right?
Okay.
And I know if you want to test your for
your blood sugar,
you get a little prick of blood,
right?
And for prostate, you get a little bit of blood, and for your
PSA and so on and
so forth. So
for
what they do for stress? What are you going to take from me?
We have a questionnaire, right?
Oh, okay.
So you fill up a questionnaire, right? And that's just one, right?
Yes.
Screen. There are other screens that you could do, but you do a questionnaire with specific questions, looking for certain,
responses.
Yeah,
yes.
So it is targeted in that it look at different aspects of life, work life, home,
yes.
and other, and then based on the results, there are categories, and depending on like we can say minimal, moderate, severe.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes.
And so you tally that up, and if you follow within a certain range,
yes,
then we can consider and say, your stress levels are moderate. It's nothing to worry about. Be be cognizant of it. You want to consider your healthy lifestyles, and all of that. If it's severe, we would suggest that you come in to do some more elaborate consult with us, where we would do maybe a full history. Maybe
Yes.
we would do a full history, because what we want to look at now is do some specifics now. Let's look at your family history. What's going on there?
Yes.
Let's look at your social history. What's going on there? Let's look at your social life in terms of your drinking, your smoking, your sleep, your appetite.
You said what you gave a hypothetical. Your stress level might be moderate.
It can be.
Okay.
It can
So
be minimal.
what are the other levels?
Okay, so
what's below moderate?
Minimal,
Minimal.
moderate,
Yes.
severe.
Okay. Now, I don't feel stress. I feel cool.
Right,
Okay.
right,
So can a person who just feel cool, unperturbed,
right.
on top of the world,
Yeah.
can he have a level that's higher than minimal?
I think it's possible, and I'll tell you why. Because they have that saying that looks can be deceiving.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have that person just like you described, unperturbed, happy, go jolly, life of the party, But what we come to realizing that there are a lot of people who mask things very well,
Mm-hmm.
very well. That's a facade.
Yeah, but mask is giving somebody on the outside an impression, but you can't mask yourself.
Exactly. And guess
So, in other words, if I'm a clown, I'm a clown.
Yeah.
Right. So I might fool you that I'm not a clown.
Right.
But if I'm a clown, I'm a clown.
Okay, and vice versa.
Right.
You may be a clown, but being a clown does not mean that you're not susceptible to the stresses of life, right?
But if I'm a clown on the inside, I'm a clown.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I may go and preach and have a big office and so on, but a clown is a clown.
A clown is a clown.
So if you are stressed, you are stressed.
Absolutely.
Regardless to whether or not you give your friends the impression
Yeah.
that, okay.
Here you go. Here you go.
Right.
So
it's very important then to do a test
very
to see what your stress
just to
level
see
may be.
if there's
Yeah.
anything that needs checking further.
Mhm.
But you made a point that I want to just tap into.
Yes.
You can fool persons out there, right? That you may not be stressed, but and is the work I do as a counselor.
Yes.
Persons come in, and I'll tell you, people sit down and they come for help,
Yes.
But even in the process of seeking help, they mask the very reason that they're there. And many times I would say to my clients, listen, man, you can sit here and try to fool me or give me that impression that it is something other than what it actually is. But at the end of the day, guess what? I'm not the one seeking help. You came here because you feel that you need help. So, let's just cut the chase and, let's just deal with it.
So very important is it that when you're asked the questions and the questionnaire, you answer honestly.
Of course. Because guess what? We're like computers, huh? Whatever you give in, the input, that's what you get out. Yes?
Mhm.
So in order for us to be effective at what we do, you need to feed us. We always tell people, in the room, there are two experts. You and I. You're the expert because you know you better than me. I may be seeing you for the first time in life. And you know you well. But I rely a lot on what you say to me
Mhm.
in order to assist you. But if you are a clown
Yes, I am. Yeah.
and you come to me and you are a clown in there with me and not taking this thing serious, then I'm going to treat it as a clown.
It is very important. How difficult you think it will be for a person to switch roles?
Easy for some people.
It's easy?
For some people.
Hypothetically, case if you're a person, you're accustomed to speaking to a person in various topics who never really gives honest answers, because they always give answers to get a desired outcome.
Okay, nice.
How difficult it would be for them to sit with a counselor and give
honest
answers so that you can make an adequate assessment.
Very difficult. Very difficult. But at the end of the day, I think one has to first recognize why he or she came in the first place. Do you really want that help? And we see it a lot in you know, in addictive behaviors, you know, and we hear the term hit rock bottom. A lot of persons who are addicted to substances, they will go to rehab, and a lot of time they go to the rehab is either for their wife, because they don't want to lose their job, because they don't want to lose their family, they don't want to lose their home, or for something else. But what we found out is that, and research has shown that the persons who are most successful in recovering from an addictive substance or behaviors are persons who go in there first and foremost for themselves, because I really want that. If you do it for anybody else other than you, more than likely you will relapse.
In your studies, as you do research and you have cases, and we had mentioned earlier that women are more likely to seek help where health is concerned than men.
That's true.
Do we have a breakdown, even if it's just a rough estimate, as to, in terms of stress levels and emotional disturbances? Do we have any numbers?
Yeah.
Where gender is concerned?
Okay, so that's a very great question. I wish you were at our symposium last week, because we presented a data analysis of the mental health situation on the island of Nevis specifically. And part of that analysis actually spoke to exactly what you're asking, and we broke it down in gender. One of the variables that we look at was gender. And what we found out was that for certain disorders, women, the percentage of women suffering from these disorders were higher than men, and vice versa. So coming from that study, what we found out was 3 of the most prevalent, or the highest incident rates, so to speak, were schizophrenia, the mood disorders like anxiety and depression, and addictive behaviors. And what we found out in the category of the mood disorders, more of the emotional, women, the percentage of women were much higher than that of men. In addictive substances, it was higher in men. And then we looked at parishes and see where the incidence rates were higher. And in certain parishes, we found out that, for instance, substance abuse, and it was higher in certain parishes than others. And so, to answer your question, yes.
I know you don't have the studies here.
No, I don't have it.
Somebody out there is asking me which parishes have the most, and you don't have them.
I don't have them.
And you can't remember.
What are you asking? Which one have the most what?
Which parish has the highest percentage of either abuse of substances or emotional disorders, etc.?
Okay. Off my head, I remember that 3 parishes that actually stood out were St. Paul's, St. John's, and St. James. St. Paul, as we know, the Charlestown is right in St. Paul's, and because of the city, you usually find that it's more dense in terms of population, and so it's not surprising that the incidence rate would be higher in terms of the schizophrenia and the other disorders, mental health disorders in the St. Paul's parish. Okay, in the St. John's and St. James parish, the addictive substances, the use of addictive substances were higher, very higher, and so I remember those three parishes, and I remember it in terms of the disorders and the addictive substances.
And that's
St. James, St. John's,
and St. Paul's.
Yeah.
And what about the emotional part?
So I can't remember off my head in terms of parish which one had the highest incidence rate of emotional disorders, but I remember in terms of gender, women, the incidence rate was much higher in women. Yeah.
And that study is available so that somebody like me could look at it.
We have some copyright kind of restrictions on it.
Really?
Yes.
Why does everything?
But no. But having said that, it was done for a reason. Again, as part of education for the public, and that's why we invited persons, to come and listen to the findings. But I'm sure, even though we can't release the entire study, that at least these questions that you're asking, the pointed questions, of course we should be able to release that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very interesting. You see, because I'm of the view, and I've been around a while, and sometimes two schools of thought and thinking, that you shield people from certain things, and you are taking care of them. The other philosophy is that you trust people and you give them the necessary information, and they are adept enough to be able to use it wisely. Yes.
And that's what we're hoping, right?
Yes.
That's what we're hoping, and that's part of what we're here tonight. Part of education, awareness. There's a reason why the Ministry of Health took the stance and decided to increase and improve accessibility to the services, mental health services on the island. And I just gave you just a snippet of some of the findings. And it's alarming. It's alarming. In the studies that you did, do we have, in terms of age range, an at-risk group? Yes.
Yeah. Do you
and guess
recall
what?
that?
And guess what? The ages between 10 and 25 were at the highest risk of substance abuse, and then in the ages of 18 to 40, I believe, if memory serves me right, were the incident rates were highest in that population in terms of the disorders and substance abuse, addictive behaviors. So when you look at it, this is a productive persons in your society.
It's almost disturbing.
It's very, not almost, it is very, very disturbing. Very.
And you said 10.
Yeah, as young as 10. 10. So, when you think of your 10-year-olds, your 11, 12, 13-year-olds, yeah?
Yeah.
Using substances, yeah?
But, I suppose in the second part of the program I have some folks standing by, and perhaps we can pick up and this. And this substance abuse is another debate, because one have to ask whether or not with the substance abuse, whether they are getting encouragement by the arguing that these things are not by any way harmful.
So at the symposium last week, there was this big discussion during the discussion and question and answer period, and the issue of marijuana came up. And you know, right now there's this big original talk about decriminalizing marijuana, and there's a lot of debate for and against it. And you know, that conversation came up, and persons were thinking, well, how does that impact, or how does that fit in all of the discussion that we're having about addictive behaviors in our society? So here it is that we are saying that our young persons, there's a high prevalence of substance abuse by our young persons, but at the same time we're talking about decriminalizing. Where do we strike that balance? And yes, there's that argument for using marijuana for medicinal purposes, all well and good. I am for that. I believe that we should explore it. But the question is, where do we where's that balance in terms of decriminalizing, but at the same time having some kind of protective mechanism, so to speak, if that's the word, that because it's decriminalized, people feel that they can just use it anyhow and cause even a bigger problem. Because right now it's not decriminalized. It is not. You are allowed, for what I'm hearing, a certain amount. But if we continue with that trend, what are the repercussions?
You know, you when you were making your explanation just now, you said there is this talk and debate. I don't know, you perhaps use the two terms interchangeably, talk and debate. I think I can agree there is a talk. I don't know how much
of a debate
there is a debate.
There is.
And if there is a debate, I perhaps will argue it's one-sided, because I don't hear a lot of people pushing back in terms of the lapse in use of it. It to me is a one-sided debate. There might be some people who are not in favor, but I'd like somebody to show me where there is a great debate on it.
I think so certainly there's a need for more of that debate. Certainly. I will tell you, from my standpoint as a mental health professional, marijuana is a drug, period. And one can argue, oh, it is a herb, it's a natural herb. It is a drug. A drug, anything that you consume that will interfere with your chemical balance in your brain is considered a psychoactive drug. Psychoactive drug, it means that it destabilizes it interacts with the chemicals already. You have the serotonin, you have the dopamine and all of that. And if it has the ability to do that, it is a drug. So marijuana, without a doubt, is a drug. There's no question about that. And we know the most common drug in that, most potent one is the THC. All right? And for some people will go and say, well, you know, I've been smoking all my life, you know, and it has never done anything to me. And that might be true too. Just like some people smoke cigarette all their life and never get cancer, lung cancer. But there are some persons now who will smoke one spliff and then they are high like a kite and they're out of touch of reality and they start hallucinating all kind of things. You know, because you just don't know the composition of the chemicals in your brain. And that's why I personally don't mess with these things, because I don't know my chemical composition in my brain.
Okay, well, I suppose that in itself is a debate.
It's a debate by itself.
But the idea is, to wrap up, that you have this outreach, you have changed the name, you have the wellness, you have offering help to persons who may not be experiencing problems as well or as yet.
It's for everybody.
Yes.
Everybody. Because Mr. Herbert, I mean, today you and I may be there with sung minds. Tomorrow we may be on a different level. I mean, there are persons who have emotional problems, you know, relationship issues, where a relationship broke down, and for some persons they just can't deal with that breakup.
Do you in your studies, do you have a lot of that? I think you had indicated in terms of gender, women are more, because the way they're built, structured or what?
Well, I don't know. I have to be careful what I say here. I think it's accepted generally that women are more emotional than men. Yeah, in terms of how we deal with issues. I think men, have that kind of machoism and trying to mask. We spoke about masking things and putting up that facade and pretend like things does not affect us as much. But women will speak out and they tell you straight up how they feel. They're more open to their feelings.
Let me get this. As you speak about women, somebody wants to talk to us. Hello, good evening.
Good evening,
Yes.
Mr. Macmillan.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Are you at the level to determine whether or not a person is a clown?
Whether a
And
person,
at the same time, do you tell them if you have detected that they're a clown?
no, sir. No, I'm not a specialist in a clown to determine whether somebody is a clown or not. But I get the impression that you want to ask something more to that question. Where you going?
He just probably feels it's time for a light moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so women are more, maybe the way they're structured.
Yeah.
More
Women are more
as you
emotional.
said, maybe some might debate you on that, because they might want to accept they're more emotional.
But I think, if we were to be honest, I think, and most women will tell you, women don't, if something's affecting them, they tell you something's affecting them. Us men, especially when it comes to our emotions, we try to mask it. Men don't want to be seen like, you're a sissy or whatever, because of societal pressures again, and norms, there are certain things that, you have to man up and that kind of thing, which personally I have a serious issue with. I whether you're a man or woman, if something's affecting you, speak about it, you get it out, you ventilate.
Okay, let's get this. Good evening, thank you for holding.
Hello, good evening. I have two questions, quick questions.
Yes.
He mentioned about schizophrenia.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I understand what it is.
Okay.
Could he define it and expound on it, how it works, and do smoking or using marijuana, could that trigger it?
Yeah.
I'll listen out here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
Let's see. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Good evening, you're on the air. Okay, we don't have that one. Go ahead, caller, you can call back. Go ahead.
So schizophrenia is one of the most debilitating or worst mental disorders there is, and it certainly is caused by chemical imbalance. I spoke about serotonin and dopamine levels, and it is manifested by the hallucinations, the delusions, that having those false beliefs, out of touch of reality. It's a lot of negative symptoms where you just become really dysfunctional and unproductive.
Okay, I think we have that caller back. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
I'm talking to the doctor here. I have a problem here that my friend, he forgets a lot of things, and sometimes he go half balance. So I want to know what's wrong, if something is wrong with his brain. He drinks quite a lot. I could call him an alcoholic. And he's not going good right now. He forgot in anything. You could just tell him anything and he forget about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what can I do, Doc?
Well, I would advise you to, again, come in, use this service. I cannot tell you much right now because I need much more information. Mr. Herbert, you spoke earlier about doing a history. I want to do a full history, get to know the individual clinically and see what's going on. You did speak, but you spoke about his drinking. Certainly that's already an issue. You spoke about him forgetting. I want to know his age, that is a factor. There are a lot of things that I still need to know to determine,
But that we can't get him coming, I can't. When you all had something up by the clinic the other day to invite people. I asked him to go, ask him if he want me to go with him, and he don't want to go. I can't get him go.
So you have a family member or friend or somebody in the community who can help you to persuade him to come see us?
He has sisters, he has brothers. I am his wife.
Okay. Well, I tell you what. We have some numbers I can give you. 660.
I don't have a pen. I'm out on the veranda. I don't have a pen now.
Okay, I tell you what. You come in to see us in Cedar Grove Prospect. Come in to see us and ask for Mr. Coffee. And just correction, I'm not a doctor. I'm a counselor.
Yes,
so
yes.
come see us at the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center on Cedar Grove Prospect, and let's see how we can assist you with that. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take you all the best. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye.
Okay, thank you.
The other question that the first caller asked in terms of schizophrenia and substance abuse, what we have is we have what we call substance-induced psychosis. And substance-induced psychosis can manifest itself. It is a psychotic disorder. So we have sometimes the hallucinations and the delusions, and all the disorganized behavior and so. So to answer the previous caller's question, yes, the abuse of substances can result in what we refer to as substance-induced psychosis. Not necessarily schizophrenia, but substance-induced psychosis. I just want to clarify that. Yeah.
All right. So, what else we got?
Well, let me just, I just want to make an appeal out there and really, to the entire public, please, persons, let us be more empathetic to persons with living with mental health illness. This can happen to everyone or anyone at any time. And I remember the premier being at the rebranding ceremony, and in his remarks, he said just that, that this can happen to anybody at any time. It may not, while you may be okay mentally, but emotionally too, as I was talking about relationship issues and so, or financial issues, the stresses of life, these are triggers that can destabilize your mental faculties, an emotional state. And so, while it is that we enjoy good mental health today, we have to always put ourselves in person's shoes and think that if it were me, how would I like to be treated? And let us be more let's be each other's brothers and sisters, or brothers keepers, so to speak. I think our society has unfortunately become very selfish, where we don't look out for each other as we used to, maybe a few decades ago. Everybody's about themselves, and there's no reason for anybody to discriminate against anyone that is suffering from a mental health condition, because that person can be fully functional. What we ask persons to do is adhere with your treatment plan, and I'm telling you from my experience that I've seen persons who are afflicted with mental health conditions, and these persons adhere to their treatment plan, and you would never know that they are suffering from a mental illness. So why do we treat them differently? Why? It can happen to us. And so please, persons, I'm making that appeal to the entire population out there, to the community. Let us please look out for each other. Let's be our brothers keepers, and let's treat people equally, and stop discriminating and stigmatizing persons, and have prejudice and these negative attitudes against persons living with mental illness.
In essence, is a philosophy of life, the way you look at things and the way you see each other. Maybe you can just remind us and inform those persons who are just joining us. You have an event coming up soon, right?
So is the Promotion Health Unit, the Health Promotion Unit, and we are partnering. We'll be part of that. Is the event by the Health Promotion Unit, but it is on Friday again. It's from 9 to 5, I think, and it's at the TDC parking lot on Hawkins Drive. Okay, and the entire public is invited, because there'll be different various departments of health represented, and we'll be there. The Behavioral Health and Wellness Center will be here, and just come and chat with us, and whatever questions you have. If we don't have the answers, we'll research and we'll get back to you, but we encourage the entire public to come in and do their health screens. All right. And just before I wrap up, I would like to give some numbers. Okay, so our mobile number is 660-9551. This is 660-9551. Our fixed line 469-5614. 469-5614. And the extensions, of course, you go for government operators at 469-5521, and our extensions are 6816 and 6817. And you can reach us in terms of email at behavioral, that is BEHAVIOURAL .health at NIA.gov.kn.com. All right, so that's our contact information.
Okay, I think I just got a correction here that the TDC parking lot is the one on the Longstone building.
Isn't that on the...
That's on the side, no, that's on the side of the health center, the Charlestown Health Center.
Oh, okay.
To the west of the Charlestown Health Center.
Okay.
So if you know where the Charlestown Health Center is, and I hope everybody knows, it's right to the western side of the Charlestown Health Center. You can access it off the main road, but you can access it from the side of the Charlestown Health Center as well. People will find it.
Yeah.
So it's not on the bayfront.
It's not on the bayfront. Okay, my apologies.
Right.
Okay.
So they got that. They got enough time to get that correction, right? Because it's Friday.
Yeah, today's Tuesday, so they have enough time.
And most importantly, again, you can come and get tested even if you don't think you have a mental health issue. Everybody likes to talk about stress. Boy, no stress me out. Girl, no stress me out, and so.
Right.
So go in and take your stress level.
And again, as I said, it is a holistic thing. There is not just mental health, but all the various departments. Even the administrative arm of the Ministry of Health will be present. Just to educate persons on the different professions. Everybody think when they hear health, everyone has to be a doctor or a nurse. But there are other professions in health. And so there will be an aspect of that, to educate, especially young persons who may be interested in a career in health, that, there are other alternatives and options. So, I think it's going to be great, and I think it will be a wonderful opportunity.
A wide range of
services,
will be offered.
Yeah.
And maybe this is a light moment. People, even if they're not interested in, they could just come and look news.
That was really a light moment. Yes, that's what they do best.
Right. I just did that at the end to show you how it's always good to have you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And we thank you and your health department, the Ministry of Health, for being with us this evening. And always feel free to come again. I tell folks all the time that I like to discuss these topics because, as you said, it's a wholesome me. And I know a lot of folks like every night talk about politics, but this is important too.
Of course.
So we make some time out for that.
Certainly.
So always come, you and your permanent secretary and the folks in the ministry in the health promotion. Somebody's want to talk to us again before you leave. Hello, good evening. Good evening. I told that fella I ban him for a year again. He doesn't appreciate, don't understand yet. Okay, so thank you. Our second segment will be in just after this.
So thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here, and good night.
That's the first segment of the program. Don't forget, they have a big activity coming up. You got a few days in which to prepare yourself. On the 14th, it is at the TDC parking lot, the one in the Longstone building, to the west of the Charlestown Health Center. You can access it from there, or you can access it from Main Street. Okay, so you got two areas you can access that parking lot. That's coming up on Friday. The second segment we'll be back with our second segment right after this.
Builders Paradise is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. Builders Paradise has over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need. Wow! Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. This is something that you can't refuse. Visit Builders Paradise today at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Site in St. Kitts, or call them at 466-4938.
With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
With the second segment of tonight's episode of Thought That Get Results. First segment featured the mental health or behavioral health and wellness segment. And the second segment, Conrad Naya Library. Good evening.
Hello, good evening, Webbo, and good evening to the listening public. And once again, I'm happy to be here in conversation with you and the public, Webbo. Thank you for having me again.
Edric W. Stanley, good evening.
Good evening, Webbo, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Good evening to the people of St. Kitts, and more particularly those people of Nevis, those who listen to us on the World Wide Web and throughout the Caribbean Basin. Pleasant good evening to all. However, I must say that the program that you just had was very informative, and although I asked a question which you categorized it as a light moment, but I really wanted to get directly from Mr. Macmillan if he finds that he has been in the presence of clowns, does he tell them that they can't fool him, and therefore tell them what he thinks, that they are clowns? Anyway, based on the program, it was very informative. We again we find ourselves, our community, being plagued with a certain virus based on Dr. Laws's pronouncement. Well, I hope that we are able to nip it in the bud before it gets any worse, and therefore let me just follow in the footsteps to say, let us wash our hands with soap and water and keep our community and country healthy and wealthy. Heights of great men reach and kept. This is with reference to Dr. Brantley, Dr. Mark Brantley, who supposedly going to New York, among the 6 most important men or women, as the case might be, coming out of the University of the West Indies. And again, let me finish the quotation. Dr. Brantley, of course, in my view, is one of the 10 smartest men in the world, among the 10 smartest men in the world, intelligent men in the world, and heights of great men reached and kept weren't attained by certain flight, but they, while their companion or others slept, kept on toiling upward in the night. Congratulations, Dr. Brantley. Based on what I know of you, there is no match. There is no match. I repeat thirdly, there is no match for you with reference to the governance of St. Kitts Nevis, but more particularly Nevis. Douglas Estate, Budgeon Estate, Dogwood Estate, those are the estates north or south of the Long Point Deepwater Harbor. And in my view, that is an area that needs to be developed and monetized with reference to income, taxes, transfer tax of that vast domain on the south shore of Nevis. And I'm hoping that we will be able to capture that vast domain of undeveloped land to, in fact, put the kinds of revenue into our government's coffers to propel Nevis upward and onward. Webbo, I'll leave it there.
Mr. Stanley, I will join with you in congratulating the Honorable Mark Brantley on his to be a part of that group from the University of the West Indies. Mark was an excellent and scholar at the University of West Indies. I think he was top student, and he went to Oxford on that scholarship, which I think people like F. Michael or Norman Manley was the first recipient of that scholarship that took him to Oxford. It is no doubt that Mark is a highly intelligent young man and quick thinker, and we must crown him for that. And as I say, I would congratulate him. Mark has attained levels which is quite inspiring, and I hope his actions and the things he says can inspire people to gravitate to that level which he have reached. Of course, his job is a big job here on Ireland. You have said that you think he is amongst, he's one of the world 10 smartest individual. That can be said. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what yardstick you're using, but of course the people of Nevis look to Mark as the premier of Nevis, and have such high expectations of Mark. When Mark entered the political scene, I think there was absolutely high expectations, and up to today there is high expectations of Mark in government and outside of government, in terms of being on the political platform, the political horizon of the Federation and of the region. I think he's a player who have shift many political levers here in the Federation. I think he have brought to the people a wealth of knowledge in terms of the way the Constitution works, in terms of their rights, bestowed on them by the Constitution, and I would call him with that. I think politics became, in terms of the masses understanding a lot more of their rights, and on a constitutional level, I think that became closer to the people because of Mark Brantley and his show that he has. I think that show's been running now for about 15 plus years, I suppose. And so, no doubt about it, if you're going to speak politics, Mark name would be called. If you're going to speak in terms of intellectual achievement here in Nevis, Mark name will be called. And, kudos to Mark. Kudos to Mark. I mean, a lot has been said about me as it relates to Mark in the recent past. A lot of it I don't even understand, to be quite honest with you. And at the end of the day, I say who want to think whatever they want to think, that's their problem as far as I check. But Mark has always been a man who I have a lot of respect for, and I don't think I ever tried to bring him down in any public arena or get too personal with him that would cause any kind of bother. But I suppose one can interpret what one says in all kind of ways. At the end of the day, Naya will always say what he feels is right, and in the light of respect too, because I have a lot of respect for Mark, and I don't think we will become political enemies, because I don't think I have any political enemy as far as I check in any way at all. Mark is a man I know from school days, and I seen a very intelligent man all the way through, and he attained some success in life that is quite inspiring, and should be inspiring to everyone. But of course, on the stage of politics, we'll have our back and forth, we'll have our disagreement. What hurts sometimes is when one expresses one opinion, and on a matter which sometimes seem either way, and people get vexed. And people discriminate against, and people tend to promote that enmity. Not me, never, ever. None of the politicians in Nevis could ever say Naya is their enemies. Because I personally doesn't get that deep into people's personal life. To say all that, Mark is the premier of Nevis. We have high expectation of Mark. There are times these expectations are not fulfilled, but that is life. Comparatively, that's when the electorate speaks. And when they speaks, then we got to yield. As far as I track, Mark has been winning his seat for a number of years, local and federal. I think in the last election, like everybody else, it was a surprising election as it relates to the results, and I think the result speaks volume. The result speaks to the fact that the people are expecting more. The people were expecting and are still expecting more from the CCM government. I think no one can contradict that. That's what the results tend to reveal. And but it looks like the fact that our little island, the people are here, find it so difficult to express themselves, we're going to have a lot of surprises in election, going forward, I suppose, because at this point people are holding what they're thinking very close to their bosom, very close to their heart, so afraid of discrimination. And this happens when both political parties are in government. It's a sad scenario as far as I check, that people just cannot express themselves about Nevis and about the politics before they feel this heavy hammer coming down on them. I'm gonna say hammer. I'm not saying the CCM hammer. I mean this heavy weight of discontent coming from those in politics. To speak about Mark, I suppose I should go on and speak about the mini Olympics, which to me was a major event here in Nevis, and we are now post the mini Olympic, and let me congratulate those who participate in the mini Olympics. The kids who've been going there for months and exercising, their mothers and their fathers who have committed themselves to this big event and to make it a success, really. I also want to congratulate the organizers, of course. The event was big, of course. But this year, it was, of course, there was some bad weather, and I think that have dent slightly, not in a big way, but the reviews are as such. All the weather was a bit troublesome, and wet, people got wet and all that kind. But it tends to reveal the incompleteness of the facility. A facility which is highly needed, a facility which is highly important, a facility which to me is good for Nevis. But I suppose with the bad weather, it reveals the incompleteness of it. And there are people who felt a little unsettled, and some were very unsettled due to the fact that there was a new structure being built for the very important personnel, the politicians and so forth, and it was well sheltered, and the people generally got wet. I couldn't come here tonight without talking about that, because of course these are issues that we're supposed to be able to talk about, and because we don't want to be a blindfold population here. The weather simply reveals the incompleteness of the facility. There could be many reasons why the facility is not completed. All I can say is such an important facility, and what strikes me well is the fact that people like Prime Minister Jew was there, and he saw what is happening, and to me, as an onlooker, it looks like it's the lack of funds. It's simply the lack of funds. Why the facility is not completed, and why the people who went on that particular day had not a bad experience, but could have been better if the rain didn't come down. I'm happy that Mr. Jew was there, because he can observe the piecemeal development of the facility too. Looks as if an island administration is really trying to make a facility, but somehow it is, under great financial constraint. Because to me, even the VIP center, which I think a lot of people are talking about, well, they shouldn't be building a VIP center when, other things need to be done. Even the VIP center to me doesn't look like a VIP center to an extent that, it looks like something that is temporary. I don't think a real VIP, area would be like that. And I view the whole concept there, or what is taken as piecemeal development. I don't think there is a holistic plan, or maybe there is, but they cannot effectuate it because of the lack of funds. And so you see toilets, from plywood. I don't think it's meant to be that way, but they happens to have these interim facility, I suppose, so that the people can use the facility and make good of it. And that's why I say even the VIP, it doesn't look too good to me. It's T111, and so to me the standards are compromised to a great extent. I hope the people do understand that, but it is an incomplete facility, and I hope that Dr. Jew can look at it in a way that as it should be looked at. That it's such an important event, it's playing such an important role, and it maybe doesn't take so much money to complete it. Maybe the island administration need a financial injection. You were there, so why not? I mean, of course, I'm not here to beat up on anyone or any department or any individual who is responsible for the facility. What I'm trying to say, it would be such a great thing if it's completed, and of course it would be enjoyed to the fullness, because it's beautiful location, it's beautiful everything over there, but the facility needs to be completed. It is a worthwhile, it is necessary, it is working, but it needs to be completed. And I happen, as I say, and I am saying again, that I'm happy that the Prime Minister was here. He can see what Nevisions are going through because of the lack of funds. I mean, nothing much have changed. The last election was in August, and we were saying that we're not getting our fair share, we're not getting our fair share, and and I think that is reflected in the incompleteness of the facility at Mondo Chad, and the Prime Minister had a chance to experience what an incomplete facility of that sort can feel like when rain come down.
Well, to be honest, Rome was not built in a day. And based on that, we must understand that the people who were participating, the spectators who were there, they understood the condition of the facility, and as a result, they should have made preparations for inclement weather, and hence umbrellas, cars, whatever tents facility or facilities were there. Though inadequate, it is again part of that Rome was not built in a day syndrome, and hence we must appreciate what we have and strive to do better as we go forward in terms of time and effort. Leadership, of course, is not so unique, and yet again it can be described as unique based on vision. Monies need to be spent on the facility to bring it up to speed based on what it is designed to do, and to be able to host events such as the primary school championship, as the case might be, on an annual basis. But again, if the facility is there and has not reached up to speed, give the administration time. At the same time, you are saying that Dr. Drew was there, the Prime Minister, and he in fact would have assessed what is there, and maybe, just maybe, an infusion of capital to the facility to bring it up to speed in terms of completion is in the cards. I cannot tell you what he has assessed, and I cannot tell you what decision he would have made with reference to the infusion of wanted capital and to make applicable an infusion of capital to bring the facility up to par based on the executive suite, as the case might be, and the expectation of those who were there, all the players, the leaders, and the participants. It's a good facility, but again, the longest journey begins with the first step. And we have already put in the first step to have the facility or the track itself, and it is paying off. At the same time, those with vision should be able to identify the areas that are lacking in terms of completion and to reach out, lend a hand, lend the monies that are necessary to complete the facility, to bring it up to the executive expectation, leadership expectations. Now, based on the Honorable Mark Brantley's vision, he, of course, has put together a document known as the Charlestown Accord. And that document brought about a government which did well. And based on Mark's vision, the administration of Dr. Harris as leader should have gotten to the nth degree where the facility should have been brought up to speed before now. At the same time, based on what is happening with the ill-fated administration, which might have lasted 7 years, there is another resignation of one who participated in the last election, became vanquished by one of the Labour winners. It speaks to the lack of leadership on the part of Dr. Harris based on the ultimate outcome, based on the finality of his government. The history is there. Had he listened to Mark and done what he was supposed to have done, that government would have still been in place to see the completion of the Mondo track based on what we were getting. We still need our fair share from the current administration, and based on what you have seen and based on what you have stated, we need our fair share to do what we have to do for Nevis.
Well, certainly, one would thought that by now we probably would have been mentioned in that term going forward. But as I said, nothing have changed. Just the other day there was election, just less than 9-10 months ago, federal election, and just quite recently there was the local election, and nothing really have changed in a sense, So basically, if the campaign was for more money from St. Kitts, I guess the campaign would be the same. I suppose, the representative from Nevis is now in a slightly different position, and so they would have to apply themselves to make sure that Nevis gets its fair share. But I'm not sure if they are really pressing that button and how hard they are pressing it, or if they can press it really hard at all, because good relationships must be maintained. I think going forward, Nevisians have their eyes wide open. We don't expect to hear the fair share talk 3, 4, 5 years from now. So something will have to yield. I mean, Nevis obviously will have to get his fair share, but I don't think the public have that space, that tolerance in them anymore, to be quite honest. For some reason, we are expecting, without evidence, that is possible, more. We are expecting more. And I don't think down the road we can be still talking about this is not complete, that's not complete, that's not complete, because we are not getting our fair share. As I said, that space has kind of dried up within the bosom of Nevisians, I think, and somehow we might be visited by more radical thinking in terms of
Okay, let me just get this.
make
Good
things
evening.
happen.
Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Good evening. I was just wondering if there wasn't a higher court or something that Nevis can settle it with or something like that.
Sorry,
I'm not clear.
I'm not clear. Sorry. What was the question? The higher court that Nevis can make reference to?
Yeah, that is a higher court based on what the person said, but higher court for what?
Well, I suppose we are talking about fair
For
share.
what you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is a court. I'm not sure of a higher court, but there is reference in the Constitution. When this thing is not happening, we can take the federal government to court. You know, that this did not come out of the what was signed on the court of. This is constitutional. You know, that there is a remedy for Nevis not getting its full share. And that remedy is fine in the court. So I'm not sure about higher court. Of course, if it's tried there and it needs services of a higher court, then I guess it moves to a higher court. But the court is there to settle that disagreement as it relates to what the Constitution proposed for Nevis, whether or not Nevis is getting that.
Well, I would imagine that based on the revenue sharing arrangement and the passport issue, the passport revenue, Citizen by Investment Program is still doing wonders based on the last bit of information I received.
Okay.
And therefore, we should still be entitled to not what we have gotten in the past from the past government, but a little more should be given to us. When they go back to the drawing board, they should be able to find that the Citizens by Investment Program is doing just as well as it has done in the past administration, and as a result to give us not only what we were getting, but to step up and to give us a little more, so we are able to do the things that are necessary in Nevis, not only the completion of the Mondo track with regard to the pavilion or stadium, bathrooms, facilities, and the executive suite, as you have mentioned. Bring it up to speed to make it look as if we are a real country going upward and onward, and we understand good things, not what you mentioned regarding the T111 facilities, but at the same time, if we don't have the money, we have to make something or plan something, put something there, because Rome was not built in a day. So I hope we are able to understand what the caller meant by a higher court, and we will pursue, when the appropriate time comes, for our fair share and a little more.
Yeah, but I just want you to understand that I'm not one who knocking the fact that the facility is being used before it's completed. I'm one who thinks that's reasonable for that to happen. You know, I mean, the facility is there and people can use it, and of course I suppose it's a work in progress. You know, if one look at it quite logically and reasonably, and not try to politicize it, but it's a work in progress, and I'm one who feel like yes, we can use it until we get to that point, but getting to that point must be realized. Getting to that point must be realized. If you don't want to go make political food for people, getting to the point must be realized as soon as possible, really, and as I said, it reveals that there is certainly a financial crisis with the NIA, and being a part of a federation that seems to be, in a general sense, doing so well, it makes me wonder. It does makes me wonder why, basically why we're suffering like this.
Well, let's move on. The Social Security Board,
Yes.
they had a symposium and a lot was revealed about the wellness of the program. We know that in France, President Sarkozy is attempting to change the dynamics, which is good for the people, but those people who are the current recipient are beginning to agitate. You do not change it while I am supposed to be a recipient. Change it when somebody else's turn comes.
Yes.
And therefore, they are facing a backlash.
Major.
At the same time, we are hoping here with our local Social Security Board that they have the vision and the
whatever it takes,
foresight,
it's
application to do what is necessary.
Just let me get this. Good evening, you're on the air.
Hello, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Naya, I would have to agree with you with everything you said tonight. I definitely in your corner. I think you've said a lot. Well, with the exception of one thing. You refer to our children as kids.
Okay.
I think if we continue to refer to our children as kids, they're going to act like animals. I don't see any place in the Bible that where they refer to our children as kids. To me, we're bringing down a curse on our kids, on our children, sorry.
Okay.
Not because they're doing it in America and the developed countries, that doesn't mean it's right. I mean, you see what's happening in America with all the shooting in schools and stuff like that. We don't want that kind of cursing either. Well, let's refer to our children as children and not kids, because I'm one who believes that if we continue to call them kids, they're going to act like animals. Okay?
Yes.
And another thing about Mr. Brantley. I really support you guys when you say that he is a very intelligent guy. He should be like an inspiration for our youth, as he has come from poor beginnings, and he has been very successful, a successful lawyer, successful businessman, and now he's at the helm. He's now the Premier of Nevis. So he's a good example for our youth to follow. I could remember when my stepson Justin was living in my house, his mother used to always use Mark as an example. The way he dressed, she was telling me, you ever see Mark out looking sloppy? He's always nicely dressed, his shoes always nicely polished, short in his pants, and he's looking smart. So, that was the image she was trying to put in her son's head, because she wanted the best for her son, because Mark is one of the best we got. I think he's probably the best, or one of the best politicians in the federation. I know the Kittichans not gonna support that because he's a Nivision. But I think I just have to pay respect to the guy. The Bible says, "To whom much is given, much is required." And I think, well, me personally, I was expecting a lot more from Mark in terms of development for Nevis. I haven't seen the kind of development that I was expecting, and based on his utterances before he became, before he was in power, he kind of was promising a whole lot. And if you're so bright and so educational and have all these connections and all these strings out there, we expect you to perform twice as much as the ordinary guy because you are that brilliant. I don't know if you're putting too much pressure on him, but he's still in office, so there's still a chance for him to kind of redeem himself and double over the progress because, I was expecting a lot more jobs, a lot more activity, things for young people to do, and a choice to in jobs, not just everybody want to go down to 4 seasons, but a choice. We need a more variety in what we do. Everybody wants to go to 4 seasons. You understand what I'm saying? So, like I said, he's still in power, so I am still looking out for great things from him. I think he's a great leader as well. Sometimes in leadership, you have to make tough decisions, and people are going to say all kind of things, but you have to be a strong person and stick to your guns. So, Mark, if you're listening, kudos to you. I think you're the best thing to have to Nevis in terms of politics. But we are looking for a lot more from you. Okay? Thanks for listening to me, Webbo, and I must say thanks to Webbo. Thanks to Fan Radio for giving us an opportunity to hear our views and say what we have to say. Because remember, in the dark days when we had no radio station, we had a radio station in the police station. I don't know what kind of radio station that was. So thanks to Mr. Herbert, thanks to the Herbert family for giving us Fan Radio so that we're able to say what's on our mind. Good night, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
Good night. Well, the caller talked about jobs. The call center in Brownhill.
Let me take this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Hello. All is that good?
Go ahead, Edgewick.
The call center in Brownhill has been re-established based on the information that reached my desk. There are 2 entities now at the call center, and that was done with the efforts of Dr. Brantley. And we, like I said, must expect from him a lot simply because of who he is. And again, I said at my opening comment that Rome was not built in a day. And as a result, give us time, give him time, give the nation time, give the leadership time, and I'm certain the leadership will deliver. So I brought to the fore the call centers, the call center at Brownhill, which had been closed since 2019, thereabout, and it's about to be reopened with 2 entities. So, based on the efforts of the Honorable Mark Brantley, we are going to have maybe a total of over 200 jobs when it is up to full speed. There are ongoing projects still. The road here in Bath Village, I just, on my way here to Vaughan Radio, I recognized that construction work, rehabilitation work is still ongoing. And there are so many other little things that are happening, and it speaks to the leadership of the Honorable Dr. Mark Brantley.
Yes, I just want to say that Nevisians are ambitious people, and we always say we have a good standard of living, relatively, across the Caribbean, which is true. And so there were times when we say our expectations are high. And I don't want anyone to get it wrong, that we are simply saying that someone is insufficient or someone is unable to deliver. Nivision's expectations are high. It's heightened because we've been, in a sense, treated so bad in this federal arrangement that we find ourselves in the backwaters of development, in a sense. Like what the caller was just saying, and I know you speak towards the call center, you know, we had an expectation, and we still have an expectation, that we would have a more robust economy going forward, a more stronger economy, not one that is solely dependent upon four seasons. I mean, this conversation we've been having a lot, and because we speak to diversification and all that type of stuff. But I must say that in the last many years, a lot of people also think development and the influx of finance, you know, foreign money, foreign development, is what we speak about when we speak about development. Not really. I think almost anything works once it brings more stability to the economy. And when I say anything work, I mean which is within the framework of legality and morality and all that type of stuff. But the people just want to see a more stable economy. They just want to see Nevis propelling forward to be more on par with our sister island. We want to see Nivision's taxi man more busy. I go over to Bastia. I can't get a taxi to go to the airport. I got to walk all the way up by the circus, and I can't find none either. I'm in Bastia, it's 12 o'clock, and I feel like eating something, but every restaurant I go through, there's this long line of people. It's like I can't get served. That's what we talk about when we talk about a robust economy, you know, like active things happening. And let us not belittle our intelligence or even our expectations of our own self, what we can do, what we can achieve, what we consider to be good, our high standard. You know, Nivisians know all about that, you know. So when we say there's an expectations, and it's real, our expectations are high because Nivisians travel a lot, you know. Nivisians travel a lot. I mean, I have a friend who come here 2-3 times a year, you know, and most time when he comes, he will come from the airport in St. Kitts and take the sea taxi from Reggae Beach and come over to Nevis at the facility there in Mosquito Bay. And but this time when he came, he came the same route, but he went to St. Kitts for Carnival. And he come back and said to me, "But Naya, that is St. Kitts." Well, of course, there's a lot of people in the street, and it's Carnival, so things are a little bubblier and so forth. But what he expressed to me, that he's totally stunned by the development what he have seen in St. Kitts. It's been a few years very well he have not been to Bastia. As I say, he's come from the airport and come straight, you know. But he's stunned, you know. That is the kind of thing I want to hear when people come back to Nevis. They are stunned by what is going on here in terms of development, infrastructure, and so forth. I mean, yes, the lovely Malcolm Gishard Park, and I hear reference was made to that as our flagship investment. It makes me wonder, and I forget to really go and look it up, well, what's flagship, but I mean, it looks to me like more should be seen or derived from or should be more impacting to the island when we speak of flagship investment, if not today, tomorrow, or going forward. But I say this to say that Nivisians are very intelligent people. I hear reference was made a few times that people drive around certain area and the place is so well developed, people don't even know they're in Nevis. Don't belittle us like that, in a sense, because Nivisians travel, Nivisians know what's going on, you know. I mean, Nivisians have an expectation, which to me is even much higher than what a lot of people think makes Nivision tick, really, you know. But it's not about implicating a one when we speak of a high expectation of somebody who, of course, is very intelligent, like Mark Brantley, you know. The expectations is not one that is unreasonable. It's just that we want a high standard. We want people to be totally consumed by the transformation what's going on here, you know. Migrant workers coming in, migrant workers staying over here, you know. More vibrant economy. That's what we're talking about. Nivisions are very patient as well, you know. Nivisions are very, very patient. Nivisions are very, very patient. But I think don't underestimate their ableness to withstand a situation that's uncomfortable to them. But I think when they do decide to make a change, when they do decide to make a change, they're very certain about it, in a sense, you know. And this is across the board. This is right across the board. But I just want to underline that Nivision's high expectations is based on their high standards which they see themselves, or they will like to see themselves, and the security that it brings to their offspring going forward. Nivisions need to stay home, you know. We don't need to run up and down the place anymore to look work. You see how many people are coming here. I think there's a good future. I think there's a great future here. But I think the divisive politics that we practice here is really just you using up half the potential of the island, and we need to move beyond that. We certainly need to move beyond that, Mr. Stanley.
Well, we have some things that are plaguing us. The rampant killing of recent times has brought to the fore something that reminding us of dark days. Please, I implore you, I expect more of you to operate within the law. Let us get our name of St. Kitts Nevis off the front page of world reports with the rampant killing of our young men. Let us cease and desist from taking the lives of one another. Let us begin to be more loving, more accommodating, more unifying, and ultimately bring more harmony to our existence. The time has come that we must be able to understand that St. Kitts and Nevis, as our country, has its best days ahead of it. And therefore, all hands should be on deck to push Nevis and St. Kitts upward with good publicity, and the adverse publicity regarding the rampant killing, the spate of killing, the spate of murders. Why? I implore you, I ask you, I beseech you, see the other person as your neighbor, see the other person as your brother, see the other person as a friend, and do not go down that dark road of attempting to, whether it's envy, bad mind, grudge, covetousness, as the case might be. Please, I again implore you, I urge you, I beseech you to follow the dictates of the Bible. See the other person as your brother. See the other person as your neighbor. See the other person as a family friend and treat him as such. Haiti has come again, and we have hit it so often here, and it looks as if we at One Radio has been carrying the mantle for Haiti, because I have now listened to a number of countries that have lined up to assist Haiti, and it looks like we made the clarion call from the mics of One Radio several weeks ago. Now I heard on the news that almost 15 countries have lined up and signed up to assist Haiti in its dilemma. So we have to continue to propel. We have to continue to mention, and we have to continue to agitate for the gang members in Haiti to cease and desist from their ill-gotten or their bad ways, and bring Haiti back to a respectable nation with peace and security.
Yes, I agree with you. I think the Honorable Mark Brantley made a serious speech about Haiti, which I think, if it's been listened to, it should have strike home to many leaders, and he made it from his program. I have not heard much more than that from any Caribbean leader, but I suppose that they've been talking about it. But I think what the Premier have said was quite impacting, and it really stimulates a lot of thought as it relates to the possibilities of Haitian drifting to our shores in large numbers, and how much we can have that in terms of being able to facilitate such migration coming to these shores. And so, not surprising, I think Haiti is part of our responsibility to have a stable region.
So that's the last word. This program repeats tomorrow at 10 o'clock following the VON News Minute. Join the Honorable Mark Brantley tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock for On the Mark. Thank you all again for joining us. This is your voice in the community. Count and get results. You all have a wonderful evening.
And opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and